This is the upper trim, so we got the leather seats. It has the 2.4 non-turbo engine, but it basically has all the options besides the turbo engine and the two exhaust pipes. So these are the leather seats, and personally I don't find them that comfortable. The leather is very nice, it's smooth, but the seat is not very soft, and the support, it's okay, lumbar is fine, but it's just that the seat, I will not call this seat very comfortable. It's not so bad. I don't know how the fabric seats are, but it's one thing to maybe know. The other thing is that this car is actually quite low to the ground. The ground clearance is not bad, especially in deep snow in winter, it's important. But the seat actually sits quite low to the floor. If you notice, that's the seat height, the bottom cushion, this is the floor, it's pretty low. This is not the best for tall person. I'm 6 feet tall, 183 centimeters. It's not the best because it's just not very comfortable, especially for your lower back. But keep in mind also, for older person, it's not exactly very easy to sit inside the car. You have to lower your body, and especially also when you step out of the car, this is perhaps not the best options, especially like I said, for older persons. One thing to remember also, we have this very wide part of the car, and when you step in the car, especially in winter time, it gets dirty. Almost impossible not to just get dirt on your pants. So it's pretty wide. It's perhaps just a small complaint, but good to know. As for the legroom, in front is excellent, rear legroom excellent as well. Again, I'm 6 feet and I'm very comfortable. I really have a lot of space. I can basically stretch my legs all the way, so it's a lot of space, comfortable. Let's just check the rear seats. Right now the seat it's adjust backwards at the maximum for my size, 6 feet, and let's see how much legroom is in there. That's quite a bit of it. Let me just sit. You can see, yeah, perhaps my knees are very close, but again, this is the seat the way I use it, and I'm again quite tall, at 6 feet tall. But for other persons, you notice the passenger seat, how much space is in here, is very roomy, and also you can fit 3 persons pretty easily actually in the middle one. It's a very nice seat, quite a bit of space. It's a very spacious car actually. Now, I say that I have a lot of leg room and that the seat can adjust up and down, but I have to mention that the headroom is not exactly a lot. If now my seat is really the lowest position, if I would adjust the seat at the highest position, my head is almost kicking here in this lever, in this roof, and these parts are really close to my head, really close. I mean, it's not it doesn't feel comfortable to me. So the roof is kind of low for taller persons. Again, maybe check your car, check when you test the car, but otherwise for the leg room, again, it's very comfortable. This car being the higher trim, you have the self-opening trunk lid. It opens when you have the key in your pocket, right now, and I will show you how it works, but I'll first like to show you how to deactivate it. So it's this button here, we just press until we get to the settings here, the small wheel. Let's just keep pressing. Now the menu, it's in French, but I will just walk you through. So this says door and trunk lid, the second option. Let's just click on this button to select it, click OK. It will enter that menu, and now we have this, it says intelligent trunk lid. Well, intelligent is a big word perhaps. Let's just scroll down, and once you notice now it's activated, let's just, for the sake of the video, deactivate it. You notice it's unchecking here, but I would like you to show how it's working. So let's just activate it and go back to the main menu by pressing this button. So this is how you go back to the main menu. Right now you are on the sub menus. If you want to go back to the main menu, just press on this guy, and the engine doesn't have to be on, but let me just show you how that works. What is interesting is that if you just step out of the car, you close the car, the trunk lid will not activate at that moment because you've just left the car too soon. So I think it takes a little bit of time after you left the car for it to start working. Right now I just spent about 30 seconds, 1 minute, so it's 1 minute later after I closed the car, and now it should be working. So again, it's 4 beeps and it opens. Now I have to mention something about this. While it's very interesting and it works well, it also can become annoying, especially if you park your car on a driveway, on a garage, and you pass with the key behind it. For some reason it will just keep beeping and keep wanting to open. So I think it may be useful, but not everybody has, you know, 2 bags with grocery all the time carrying. So personally I would deactivate it. It's a good thing, it works well, but it's not always that useful. That's just my opinion. Now this car has the keyless entry and the start button, and these buttons you need to push them to open and to close the door, to lock the car and unlock the car. But these buttons in winter time, they always get stuck in there, so you really have to press really hard on them to just make them move. It's not because it's the car is being washed or something, it's just really in winter time the button gets stuck. And by the way, this is how you lock and open the car. So right now it's open and I'm on the passenger's side, same on the driver's side. It has button on both sides. If I want to lock the car, it's locked. I have the key in my pocket, press again, the car is unlocked. So it's very easy to use, very nice feature, but these buttons are pretty tiny and they always get stuck in cold weather. One thing that is really great with this Sonata, let's pop the hood, and the hood, you just slide your hand about here and it has a lever, just toss it to the left side. This is the lever, just toss it like this. It's the engineering that went into the engine bay, is that everything is readily accessible. There is just a lot of space for the mechanics to work on it. Look where they put the this is the honk. It's just so easy to replace. Look at the space around. So air filter box, if I remember well, was this one. Everything, it's really easy to replace, easy to access. You just pop this cover here, replace the spark plugs, ignition coils, your washer, windshield washer fluid. Everything is really easy to replace. Battery, you just remove this plastic base. So this is a great job. This has automatic control and separate zones. It's an upper trim, I guess, and the way to adjust the temperature, you need to rotate the knob. And it's interesting because if you want to set it to high, so let's say the most red area here, you need to turn it quite a bit until you see high here. That's the hottest. One thing to notice is that the fans for the blowers are quite noisy. Now this is the lower speed. If you increase the speed, I think it's a little bit noisy, perhaps not the most refined system, but perhaps what's even more interesting and something I don't really like is that to adjust the vents, this is to the middle vent, and then we have to the windshield and to the feet, you have to press this button, which is not exactly convenient for once because you have to kind of scroll through the options. But there's another problem, is that you cannot really set anything you want. There are presets here. Let me just walk you through this preset. So this is middle vent, this is windshield and fit, this is fit, and this is middle and fit. But basically you cannot have windshield and middle or windshield, middle and fit all together. There's no such option, unfortunately. I have another car and I can set it at any two of these or three of these outlets for the blowing air. That's one thing. It's interesting. If you want to turn the fans completely off, it won't work here. You need to switch off the whole system and we'll just turn off the display. Now the fans are off entirely. AC works nice, but I think if you are living in a very hot area, let's just say somewhere in Australia or Arizona in the US, it is not the coldest air you will ever get in a car. Maybe think about it, it's good enough, but really nothing to freeze you inside the car. So it's nothing out of ordinary, it's just standard. Even the heating inside the car is never, if you put it to the max, to high, it won't toast you inside the car. It's hot enough, it's warm enough, but it's nothing exceptional. This upper trim has a very nice heated steering wheel, works very nicely, fast, and it's heated all around. It's really nice to use it. This upper trim also has the Infinity speakers and the radio system. I think it's a little bit more powerful than the base one. I would say I'm not very picky on the radio sounding and so on, but I don't think it's really worth spending extra money just for the sound, just for the Infinity system. I know Infinity is a good brand, they make good products, but at least on this car it doesn't really add that much. Maybe it's more powerful, but the sound is not much more clear, it's not much more vibrant, not much more bass. So I don't think it's really worth it. Don't get misled by the name of it, by the Infinity name. This car has the manual shifting when you just toast the shifter and you can upshift, downshift. I found it works pretty nicely. It doesn't have pads on the steering wheel, which I would love better, but this one actually does work pretty nicely. The gears do shift very, I mean, it's not a sports car in any way, but it does work nicely. I had a problem with the leather around that was just preventing it from really engaging into the manual mode, properly shifting gears. So just have to pull a little bit on leather. I don't remember on which side. It was a little bit too short. Notice it's interesting that Hyundai put a asymmetrical center console. The padding is not the same. Now this is soft padding here, which is really nice. Doors also have soft padding. This is plastic, hard plastic, but this is soft padding. Pretty comfortable actually. Center console is not that much soft, but it's good enough. Armrest is nice. The transmission have this button called drive mode. So if you feel maybe you're driving the car for the first time, you feel the transmission kind of hesitates, it's too slow to change gears, check your drive mode. You normally will have a small light. Let me see if I press it. Yeah, you see this is the econo driving. I'm just pressing this button. Now you have the sport driving, when the transmission will shift gears a little bit faster and keep the revs a little bit higher, and then you have no light here, means you are in the normal mode. This is the panoramic sunroof, which extends to the rear, and I have to say that it does look impressive. But remember that when you sit in the front seats, you won't benefit from it. Basically, this is just if you have kids in the rear seats or rear passengers. I would say one thing about it is that, just try to open it. You notice now that the sunroof, it's the glass itself is closed. You can adjust the sunshade, and the sunshade, it's electrical and goes all the way to the back, which is very nice. However, there is a kind of something I will call downside is that if you happen to have the sunroof, the glass, maybe just open a little bit in the front or just lift it a little bit, the sunshade will have to roll all the way back. You cannot just have a little bit open here or in the front and have the sunshade, let's say, covering the rear seats, just at this position or any position. So it's a little bit of a I don't know, maybe you want to drive with the sunroof a little bit cracked open or open, and maybe the rear passengers don't want to stay in the sun and want the sunshine to be covering them, but that will not work. It's not possible. That's how this system works. And also usually the sunroof glasses are tinted, and this car also has it tinted, but it's not very strong tint. So if you are in really hot climates with a lot of sun in the summertime, you may just kind of feel it's kind of warming up your skin. Actually, it's not the best tint here. It is there, but it's not really that efficient. One thing that I would like it to be different, it's this side of the center console, you notice, is not symmetrical. On this side there is kind of a plastic and it has a hard edge. This is hard plastic here, this is soft one. But on my driver's side, this is really hard plastic, and although it's kind of curved a little bit, usually I would just like to rest my my leg like this, and it just hits with my knee against it. So when I'm driving, I just have my my foot on the pedal, gas pedal, and it's not uncomfortable, but it's not comfortable either. So perhaps I wish they would put something softer here. A few words about the LCD display. The center one, this being the limited trim, I don't know how the others are. This one is pretty big, and it also touch screen. Notice now it's off. I can turn it on just by touching. That's really nice. You also have buttons here that work with it, and you have to work with them always. Sometimes there's no button here and the button will be there, so that's something to be aware. I really like I said, when I'm driving, maybe I don't need a GPS or anything, I can turn it on off completely. It will turn on if I go backwards for the rear camera, but it's always possible to turn it off again. The GPS itself, the map is very clear, directions are good, it works nicely, it has voice, it works very well. However, there is a little thing that is missing, is that when I'm following that direction, sometimes I will just want to maybe look at the street nearby or zoom them up or just pan them up moving around. That's not possible at all when it's engaged. When you're following a direction, it is not possible to zoom them up and to keep going with the GPS. The GPS, if you touch the screen when the map is running with the GPS, it will just think you want to relocate your address, and it's messing everything, and that's confusing. Also, when you are driving, the GPS is on, you are following an address. If you want to change the address, there's something very funny that took me quite a bit of time to understand. There is no touchscreen button to go back to search for a different address or just to stop your navigation. You have always to go here and click on Navi to go to this main screen and to enter a new address. So that's a bit confusing. I wish there was a button to stop your navigation or to change your address on the screen, but it's not there. The rear camera is really nice. It's very easy to use with those lines that align. It's very easy to align near the sidewalk when you park your car, but it does get muddy, it does get dirty in winter time, in rain. You have to clean it pretty regularly. Perhaps it could be positioned, the camera itself, in some other location when it's not getting that dirty all the time. One word of caution: always set your lights on the auto mode and let them sit there when you park the car, when you leave the car, when you start the car again. Don't touch this button, because if you set it there, You will perhaps one day forget to turn on the headlights that will not turn them on automatically, and you will be driving in the dark with the dash lights on but not the headlights on. Finally, 2 words about the engine, power consumption, and the suspension on this car. The engine has reasonable power. We didn't get really a good fuel consumption. City driving only is not good. I won't give numbers, but let's just perhaps think it's not yet breaking in. It has only 20,000 miles. We are going to wait for that more miles to accumulate. As for the power, again, it's good. It's a little bit, the engine is a little bit rough, I would say. It's not very refined engine, but it's okay. The power is there, nothing exceptional, and the transmission works well when you have it in the correct mode. The thing I really think this car is missing is a suspension quality. Now, the roads on my area are not the best, but we drove also on the highway, and I just feel like the suspension is not harsh, but it's just, you just don't feel you have that much of a control on the car. The steering feels really kind of not alive at all. It's just rubbery a little bit. The original tire are so loose, I think they are really bad, but we put also good winter tire Michelin, so the tire is not exactly what causes the suspension to work like this. I just feel that the downside on this car is the shock absorbers quality. That's just not there, the quality. There's no refinement at all, not so ever. So that's a downside. I understand Hyundai has to cut some corners somewhere. There's a lot of technology into this, into the display and stuff, so they put a lot of money here and they had to cut some corners somewhere else. That's in the suspension, but let's hope they will improve it. Again, this is a North American car. Perhaps a European car has a different shock absorbers, I don't know, but let's just hope they will improve it with the next generation, the future model. Again, is not terrible, but it's definitely not something you will say wow. It's a nice car. I will recommend it. My reservations to now are especially the fuel consumption and I would say suspension, but I can live with that. It has a lot of interior space. It has low seating. Some people don't like that. Other than that, good all-around visibility, good price, decent price. I don't think the sport trim, which has the turbo engine, it's really worth. It's too expensive, and I think the 2.4 engine is just good enough. Give us your comments, your experience in the comment section below the video. I hope this helps you make up your mind. Just a small video to show how to switch the menu here, how to go to various functions. If you have a warning, how to go to it to read it. Also how to change various settings, such as normally the driver's seat, when you open the door, will just go back to allow it to enter easier. If you want to turn this off. Also, if you are equipped, the trunk lid will open with a beep when you pass behind the car with the key in the pocket. So how to change those various settings. Mind you, this is a French car, but I'll just show you how to get into that menu, and then you will read the menu in English and just go through it. So basically we are going to use these two buttons here, this one and this small knob here. Works in two ways, either push it down or up or press to select. So let's just go for it. Also, you notice I was having the speed, digital speed, that's being selected. You can change that display by moving this button up and down. Notice how it is. So let's start with the digital speed. That's the display I would rather use when driving, and then if you move it down, you'll get to the fuel consumption. Now this is in a liter per 100 kilometers. Perhaps you'll have MPG, and I think you can also change that. I'm not sure where exactly, but let's just go to those upper menus and click this thing once. It gives you to the direction. I think this is used by the GPS while driving. And let's click one more time. This is the line depart. You have a button here on the side if you want to deactivate it or activate it. and let's just click one more time. It brings us, I'm not sure what this is. One more time, this is the message, warning message. It's not necessarily something dangerous or something really urgent, but it's just the maintenance here, what it says, but you may have a different message. Let's click one more time. We are getting to the settings. These are the various settings. This is the small wheel here. Again, French, but yours is going to be in English. And now just maybe scroll to those menus with just this knob up and down. Notice how that blue line moves. And well, let's say we want to deactivate the trunk lead from opening itself. Just position the blue line here and click OK to enter the sub menu. Notice this is the trunk lead, coffre intelligent in French, and you want to scroll down to select it and push the button to activate it or deactivate it. This thing I think works only about 1 minute after you lock the car. It takes a little bit of delay for it to work. Let's just let it activate it. Then you have not this one, let's see, siège volant, that means driver's seat, and steering wheel. This is where you can deactivate the seat from moving. Again, click enter. It will give you to that sub menu. Just scroll down, and this is well, sorry, just scroll up. This is the seat that moves. It's called easy access or something like this. Click on it, and then you have mine, it's on, but if you want to turn it off, just go for the none or something like this in English. Now getting back to the menus, just click on return, and again on return, and you got to the menu again. If you want to go to that initial display, just click here. It will bring you to the display, and you may choose, usually I will let it sit on the speed. I hope you find it helpful. Any comments, just don't hesitate below in the video comment section.